Well, hello and welcome to the bedroom of the dollhouse for another reading from The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and Used Elfers for November 8th, the day of the borderline. That's right. And here at the top of the page is a visual representation of the day of the borderline. Well, we have us a picture of what looks to be a bell-shaped rock, kind of tied to a rope and a pulley there, next to a manhole with a little bit of a, I don't know what you call it, a little bit of a setup there to lower said rock. I'm guessing. I don't know. Does that speak to the day of the borderline as a visual representation? I couldn't say, but who's to say? Maybe we can make some kind of connotation as we get on with the reading. That being said, not altogether important. No, what is important is it's November 8th, and so it's somebody's birthday today. With that being said, what is important is me wishing you a happy birthday. That's right. So I just want to say happy birthday. But if this finds you late, I don't know, days, weeks, months, as is sometimes the case there, busy individuals as it is. Well, I hope you had a happy birthday if that's the case. That's right. Hope you had a happy birthday. But that being said, there's other people that join us on occasion too. And if that's the case, ideally to celebrate the November 8th birthday, well, I just want to say hello, welcome. And I hope you enjoy yourself. That's right. Before we get into the reading direct, though, real quick, let's roll some dice. This is the DykASSt birthday broadcast, so we like to roll some dice around these here parts, but not just for the name's sake. We also like to do so for synchronicity's sake. And you know what, folks? We just rolled some doubles, and guess which ones they are? A 4 and a 4, 4 and 8. You know what? This doesn't happen all the time, but we rolled your number. That's right. Hey, so what is synchronicity? Well, that's one indication of it there. And this ain't fake. I'm telling you, I just rolled that. In any event, it's just you getting out in the world and let the universe show you it's with you on your path. And you do that by looking for your signs. That's right. And you're one of the agreed upon signs there is a number rolled on a dice. That's right. Now you don't have to go with the number I rolled you. It would be easy to remember considering it's the same day as your same number as your birthday rather. But that being said, get out in the world, roll your own dice if you like. And it's probably preferable you take your own set of dice so you can ascribe directional values to number sets and also roll yourself some time limits to go in those directions. But once you've done all that and you get to the end of that time limit, will you stop, compose yourself, and you look for some signs. Now it can be numbers. Let's say it's in an address. Maybe there's a 44 on a building you stop in front of. Hey, go on in there, see what you see. Maybe it's a store. Maybe they sell rope and bell-shaped rocks. The day can take on a theme like that. Or maybe, I don't know, the number 8 bus pulls up in front of you on the street there. Well, you know what? You might not ride the bus all the time or ever, but hop on there, see how much it costs. Maybe you just so happen to have a perfect change in your pocket to ride that thing. It could be something like that. So let's say you're on the bus. Well, roll your dice. See how long to ride that thing. Or maybe like you roll yourself an 8 again. Let's just stick with 8. And the next stop is the number 8 stop. Things like that will just start to line up for you. And you get off, and who's to say? On the stop, I mean, so to speak. And maybe you don't see any numbers at that point. Well, just look for anomalies, things like that. Maybe you see somebody walking by in a pink shirt when everybody else is wearing just blasé colors. Well, roll the dice. Get a time value there. And enough time will go by between you rolling the dice and them walking by, so that you can follow them without coming off like a creeper. And just see where they take you. Who's to say they might just take you somewhere else that has a bell-shaped rock in it. It doesn't have to necessarily be things that are grandiose and crazy and life-changing. But it's there to just show you that the universe is there with you on your side. Maybe infuse a little bit of fun, a little bit of magic. See, taste, touch, and feel the magic, as I like to say. In any event, I think you get the idea. Hopefully you get out there, have some fun on your birthday if you got nothing else planned. So that being said, let's get on with the birthday read, shall we? Your month is November. Your day is the 8th. Your sign is 14 to 17 degrees Scorpio of the Scorpio II period specifically. And your quality and element is fixed water. All right. November 8th, the day of the borderline. November 8 people are often drawn to areas of the human experience which others would consider dubious, questionable, or shadowy. And those born on this day are not just cut out to walk the straight and narrow. And although they may present as normal affect or appearance, after a time one discovers that their tastes and interests are quite weird, perhaps even bizarre. And those born on November 8 are concerned with exploring the limits of human experience and continually pushing back. Their lifestyle or orientation to the world can indeed prove upsetting to those who prefer to live within carefully controlled parameters. And most November 8 people pursue their occupations and interests with a dedication that can amount to mania. Their powers of concentration are usually great, but they can drive themselves, as well as friends, lovers, and family, crazy unless they learn to temper their intensity and relax. Indeed, November 8 people should more often indulge in the simple pleasures and reduce some of the complexity that they engender in their lives. And those born on this day are usually very good with money and capable of great success in the financial world. They are not overly optimistic and typically display a kind of prove it to me attitude when presented with theories or schemes. And while at the same time they keep their eyes and ears open and will give ample consideration to ideas that make sense. However, there is a tendency on their part to succumb to power urges, and therefore healthy social and family relationships are an irreplaceable stabilizing influence. November 8 people must resist dark Plutonic forces within themselves and similarly limit contact with social undesirables or the criminal underworld. Gambling, drug use, as well as dubious tax schemes are best avoided. Conversely, business or love partners of a more conservative mold seem to bring out their more practical and positive side. Often, November 8 people can satisfy their Plutonic nature through reading books and watching films dealing with the darker part of human experience. On the other hand, it is necessary that November 8 people confront their own personal demons at some point, since suppressing or ignoring disturbing elements that periodically surface only leads to frustration, unhappiness, and even outbreaks of violence. Various forms of self-analysis and psychological counseling may or may not be helpful in this respect, but having a close friend with whom to share experiences is essential to them. Finally, November 8 people should strive to clarify the connection between their inner and outer life, neither cutting themselves off from the world to live in their own serious corner, nor throwing themselves into the world actively to the detriment of their personal concerns. All right, pretty interesting birthday read. Pretty well written, too, I must say. Any event, hey, I like to provide a little bit of a commentary, some notes, if you like, about what we just read. Sometimes provide a little bit more context based on things I've read previously, but sometimes just me making a comment. Same event, let's dive into it, all right? November 8th, the day of the borderline. All right. You're drawn to areas of human experience considered dubious, questionable, or shadowy. I like that. Well, the description anyway. Not really the idea. I don't know. But you apparently do, all right? And that's what's important here, by and large, all right? So anyway, you're apparently not cut out to walk the straight and narrow. Even though you may present as normal, all right? But your tastes and interests are apparently quite weird, the reading says, followed by even bizarre, all right? Hey, that's news to me too, but, the reading says, so it must be true, right? It's okay. But it doesn't stop there. Your lifestyle or orientation can prove unsettling to those who prefer to live within carefully controlled parameters, said. Or perhaps you have a penchant for not just exploring the limits of human experience, but pushing back on them, whatever that might mean. That said, you apparently pursue your job and interests with dedication that can amount to mania, which is interesting. I don't think I've ever read that before, which is ostensibly a good thing. I'm not quite sure. Maybe you're really focused at it to the point where some people are like, whoa, calm down, man. You're too serious here. I don't know. Is that a mania? Any event? Borderline, I guess, is what it is. Let's just say that. What else here? Concentration, great. But not only drives friends and families crazy if you don't temper your intensity, all right? But even yourself, it said. So yeah, you got to watch out for that. Borderline again. All right. But you know what you want, and I kind of get that one. At least the driving myself crazy part. All right. I kind of do that too. Any event. But you're apparently good with money, albeit not overly optimistic, being from Missouri, apparently, with this show me state kind of attitude, which I appreciate, both because I see it as a bit of a realist approach, or objectively speaking, to life. And it also allows me to name the Missouri State nickname. That's right. Throw that out there. I love that reference. I'll be from Missouri. But you also keep an open mind to new ideas despite not just all that, but not just all of that, but also an apparent susceptibility to the dark Plutonic forces. Also, dubious tax schemes. I like that entry. That's a very specific thing to have in mind, or at least to avoid, it said. So find a friend or a conservative loved one with whom to purge those dark forces, all right? And strive to form a connection between your inner and outer lives. Balance is one of the main objectives or through themes for the Scorpio period. And I would argue that, hey, that might work for you, especially if you're on the borderline there. That's right. Any event, that's been the breakdown, what I had to say about it in the notes. A little disconnected there, but I made my points, I think. I got to say the show me state, all right? So, hey, that makes it well worth reading, in my opinion. But in any event, hey, let's move on to your numbers and your planets. That's right. Those born on the 8th of the month are ruled by the number 8 and the planet Saturn. And since Saturn carries a strong feeling of responsibility and an accompanying tendency toward caution and limitation, the connection between this planet and Pluto, Scorpio's ruler, an implacably fatal force, it says, can trigger the darker aspects of their nature in relationships and also motivate fundamental personal changes. And those ruled by the number 8 generally build their lives and careers slowly and carefully. And although they may be warm-hearted, they can present a cool as well as a detached exterior. All right, there's your numbers and planets. They personalize this one for you quite a bit, as they've had to do with the other Pluto entries, because that only falls on the month, or in the Scorpio time period. Every other period, the days all fall on different planets, so they had to personalize these ones. The other ones kind of copy-paste job a little bit, so hey, they personalized it for you. And even what I have to say here about your numbers and your planets. All right, the number 8 and the constrictive planet Saturn opposed to the expansive planet Jupiter, for a strong feeling of responsibility and a tendency toward caution. Or that not overly optimistic pension that previously mentioned, I would suppose. Warnings of darker forces at play for you thanks to your Pluto rulership, all right? And there's also a Mars co-rulership, which lends a little bit of aggression there, a little God of War energy. I don't think they mentioned as much, but it is there. Implacably, I wasn't quite sure what that meant. I had to look it up. It means impossible to placate. So you have this implacable force, and they don't even mention what it means. That Mars co-rulership, I said, and maybe that's what that God of War energy is. All right. So definitely lean in on that idea of balance I mentioned previously, if any of this is to be believed, obviously, or if it seems applicable to you up to this point, right? That said, you build your lives and careers slowly, it said, so fret not if nothing seems to be happening for you. That's what I have to say, all right? Just keep pressing, all right? That's something else I wrote. And I say that as much for me as I do for you, because I sometimes, even doing these things I enjoy, I don't want to do for some reason. So, hey, maybe that's what the darker forces look like for you. Who's to say? In any event, that's been your numbers and your planets. Let's move on to your tarot. That's right, one of the more eclectic of the New Age metaphysical ideologies, at least to me. But that doesn't mean we got to go home and start dealing out the cards to influence our every, flight of fancy and whim. But hey, it's fun, it's free, it's your birthday, it's in the book. Let's see what it has to say, all right? Or you can skip ahead in the chapters if you think it's blasphemous, whatever. All right, let's get into it, shall we? The eighth card of the major arcana is Strength or Courage, which depicts a graceful queen taming a furious lion. And the queen symbolizes the female magician who can master rebellious energies and stands for moral as well as physical strength. And this card's positive attributes include charisma and a determination to succeed. The negative qualities include complacency and the misuse of power. That's right. Okay, there's your tarot. Let's see what I had to say here. This one was a complete copy-paste job. They didn't personalize it for you at all. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And there's a little bit of a trade-off sometimes between the numbers and planets and the tarot. But in any event, Strength or Courage, and the graceful queen taming furious lion. The feminine magician mastering rebellious energy and standing for moral and physical strength, all right? For charisma and also warnings of complacency and a misuse of power. All right, so I just reiterated everything. Don't let the slow build break your spirit. That's what I had to say. That's that complacency there. Nor the dark forces that may be at work, if that applies, all right? Purge that anger, that frustration, or unhappiness, I say. Avoid the borderline. That's right. We got to personalize this one for you here. But you are drawn to the shadows, it says. So, I don't know. Just maintain that balance. Once again, that's right. Said you like the shadows too, if I recall. So, but again, you don't want to go too far. Keep it on the borderline. That's right. Then it's been your tarot. Let's move on to your health. All right, your health. The greatest threat to the health of those born on November 8th is in the psychological realm. Learning how to build defenses and set limits is important to them. On the other hand, November 8 people must avoid psychological isolation and a bottling up of their shadowy side. Competent and caring psychological therapy could prove beneficial to them. And if they find the idea of seeing a psychiatrist too threatening, they may choose to read established works on therapy, join discussion or support groups, investigate personal growth programs, or perhaps grow through self-examination. In most cases, however, a good teacher or guide is essential to their study and evolution. Sensuous activities here are encouraged, those of the senses. I had to look that up the other day. Yoga is particularly recommended for physical exercise. To tame that aggression, I would assume. Anyway, hey, let's dive into the notes, shall we? For your health, your greatest risk, the psychological realm. Fear not, you've got great company there. Or at least company anyhow, with your other fellow Scorpios. This gets recommended quite a bit here. Not that I imagine that eases your mind, all right? So we once again drill down on expressing the darkness however you best do so. They gave a bunch of suggestions there. But hey, here's one. Maybe try writing, all right? I read somewhere that Thomas Harris, the author of those Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal Lecter books, born September 22nd, as it turns out. I thought it'd be interesting he was born today. He expresses his demons by giving his characters heinous things to do. Oh, there you go. Express some of the darkness. So there's just an idea. Pass that horror on to someone else to deal with, right? But turn a buck while you do so, perhaps. Who's to say? That's what else we got here? Or find a good teacher, like they suggested. Ostensibly for the self-examination. Yoga for exercise, conversely calming. That's right. What was the thing I was going to say? Self-examination. Sometimes folks can't afford therapy either. It's not cheap, so self-examination. I like to try astral projecting, and you know what? I've never done so to my knowledge, but you know what? It's great for insomnia, because if you fail at one, it usually puts me to sleep in the trying of it. So yeah, it's a lose-win, or a win-win, who's to say? But in any event, hey, that's been your health. Let's move on to some advice, although I think they've given you quite a bit of that already, so it's going to be a reiteration here. Let's see what we got. Don't dismiss the mundane out of hand. Much can be learned from everyday life. Make friends with your shadow self, and be compassionate and transparent, and let life come crowding in. All right, hey, what I have to write about your advice here? I actually fit this one on the page today. Sometimes I got to write it in the book. What do we got? Don't dismiss the mundane, all right? See the forest for the trees. One of these other days, they saw the trees, not the forest. So this is a good one here. I like that. Embrace the strengths that you have, all right? Be compassionate and transparent toward yourself, I'm imagining, all right? Open yourself up. Open up that shadowy side there. You gotta see what's in there. Let the light in if you like. But don't completely isolate, all right? Once again, balance. Figure that stuff out. All right, there's your advice. And with that being said, let's move on to your meditation. That's right. Let's take the energy down just a hair, though I am pretty mellow tonight. But let's see what we have to say here for your meditation. Sleep soundly in the darkness, but wake in the light. Oh, my Lord, I like that. See, I didn't read this beforehand, and I was talking about the astral projection and falling asleep. How's that synchronicity there? Once again, sleep soundly in the darkness, but wake in the light. All right, them shadowy forces again. All right, that's been your meditation. I'm not going to try to interpret it for you, throw some spin on it. It's your birthday. It's just for you. With that being said, let's move on to your strengths and weaknesses. That's right. Let's hold up the objective mirror and do some of the work. Let's see if you can guess what they are, because we've probably drilled down on them already with the reading. So let's see what we got. Your strengths, you're deep, you're serious, and you're success-oriented. I wouldn't have guessed those. All right. But your weaknesses, what do you got in mind? What do you got in mind? You ready? You're addictive, troubled, and disturbing. Ooh, those sound really negative. And you know what? This isn't the first time in this period those have come up. Addictive might be a new one, but troubling and disturbing, or troubled rather. But you know what? Those are all things that can be fixed. That's right. With self-examination and or therapy. That must be why they drilled down so hard on it in the health. Normally, they talk about diet and exercise, and that just kind of got breezed over, didn't it? So, hey, maybe take note. Maybe take note. Self-examination might do you a lot of good. Who's to say? Maybe none of this applies. I don't know. But maybe just hearing some of it make you reconsider a little bit and maybe recognize some of the things that you hadn't before or given consideration to. Who's to say? Like I said, hold up that objective mirror and go to work. That's right. In the event, hey, that's been your strengths and your weaknesses. Let's move on to those born on this day. That's right. Let's see who shares your company. But before we get into that, I just want to mention one thing. It's a quick little segue. And I want to focus on figuring out our passions. And why do I say that? Well, I think this is the perfect opportunity to see what other people who share your company did to get themselves in the book. And I mention that because I get out in the world and meet a lot of folks, ask them what they do, and more importantly, if they like it. A lot of times they don't, and I just don't think you can really blame people for that. There's just not enough time to put into work to figure those things out. Or there is, but we just don't carve it out for ourselves because it takes work to make that time. And so I figured, just finding out who shares your company and what they did, maybe that'll stir up the fires to get that inspiration going if that's something that you haven't quite figured out for yourself. Because I think it's important that we get up out of bed, backflipping, to get into work. It just makes life more tolerable, right? And tolerable is kind of a negative word. It just makes life more exciting, fun, so to speak. Takes you out of the shadows a little bit, even though I know you like to be there. But you know what? Maybe it'll bring you even deeper. Who's to say? If that's something you're looking for. But I think you get the idea, right? Maybe just us stirring up that idea is going to help you figure that out if it's something you're struggling with. So let's get on with it, all right? Those born on this day. We start off with Christian Barnard. And I say Christian because there's two A's for Christ IAAN. South African cardiac surgeon. It was the first heart transplant operation. Biographer, novelist, political writer, and a TV producer. Jeez, prolific individual. Who else we got here? Herman Rorschach, the Swiss psychiatrist, test inventor, Young and Bleuler student. We also have Angel Cordero Jr., all-time great jockey, 3-time Kentucky Derby, 2-time Preakness winner, and won 7,000 57 races in 38,646 starts and retired after a terrible horse collision. That's a lot of horse riding. Let me tell you something. That sounds unimaginable in any event. Who else we have here? Margaret Mitchell, novelist of Gone with the Wind. We also have Alain Delon, French film actor. Bonnie Raitt, the singer-songwriter. Ricky Lee Jones, singer-songwriter. Eartha White, the Angel of Mercy, social welfare leader and businesswoman. Kazuo Ishiguro, a Japanese-British novelist of The Day Remains of the Day. Or The Remains of the Day, rather. What else do we have here? Christy Lee Hefner, the Playboy publisher and president. Nicole Fontana, fashion designer and business executive. We also have Mitchell De Luce, Italian architect, Memphis Group founder member. Patty Page, singer. Dorothy Day, Roman Catholic social activist. We also have Morley Safer, a TV journalist of 60 Minutes fame. Milton Bradley, the game manufacturer and publisher. Who would have thought he had a shadowy background there? All right, we have Jerome Hines, the concert, a product basso. Russell A. Mittermeier, a conservationist. Primatologist and Conservation International president. Folke Walwyn, a British racehorse trainer. Another one. Geez, how about that? Maybe take up some horse riding. That might be your thing there. And Margaret R. Seddon, U.S. astronaut. We had some repeat offenders in there. The horses, the social activists. What else was there? Novelists, musicians. Boy, there was a lot of specific stuff in there. Highly interesting day today. But that being said, those born on this day essentially rounds out your birthday read. I hope it fueled the fires for your inspiration there to get your passion going if you don't have one. Or at least figure out some way to make it financially viable. Because maybe just hearing it, maybe this was a big ass tall order, but maybe just hearing it stirred up a little bit of them embers. That's right. Yeah, I hope so. I hope I can provide that for you on your birthday. But that being said, your season is fall. Once again, your sign is Scorpio. The Scorpio II period specifically, and your quality and element is fixed water. And this has been November 8th, the day of the borderline. That's right. From The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and you Stelfers. I have an affiliate link for this book down in the description. If you're interested in picking up a copy, diving in further, finding out about the other birthdays in the year, it's all in there. And to save the hassle, I have to type it in a browser if you're interested. Just go click the link. But in any event, that's not what's important here. What's important here, that's like I said at the top, wishing you a happy birthday. That's right. Happy birthday. And for everyone else who joined us randomly to celebrate, well, hey, I just want to say I hope you enjoyed yourself and you join us for your birthday read. That's right. But lest we forget your daily numbers. You're 4 and you're 4 for an 8. I can't believe we rolled it. But, you're stuck in jail, so I don't know if you're going to be able to get out there and feel, taste, touch, and see the magic. I don't know. But if you do escape and get out there, hey, make sure you button up. It's cold in a lot of places, right? So I'm sure you know. But, hey, whatever happens, I hope you have some fun. Enjoy yourself, all right? Take care of yourself. And like I said, hope we see you for your other birthday reading, folks. And those numbers apply to you, too. That's right. All right. You take care of yourselves. And happy birthday. Keep that borderline going. Maintain your balance. Fight the darkness unless you really want to embrace it. All right. Happy birthday.